not just interested in the data, they are interested in doing analysis on that data. If you talk about stockbrokers or analysts or bankers, investment bankers, what they're looking at, what they get is a very large amount of data from stock exchanges, from their customers and so on, from news feeds, and they're basically trying to collate all of that data into information by doing analysis of various kinds. So they typically want to look at that data in different ways. So they want to look at the data as a grid. They may want to look at it as a chart, as graphs of various kinds, and they want to do analysis, like apply formulas, do computations. In the capital markets world, that is the reason why Microsoft Excel or any other spreadsheet application is a very key component of their day-to-day life. These financial wizards are masters of using Excel. They would slice and dice their data in so many ways using Excel. However, Excel is not their primary application, line of business application, in the sense that they may have a trading application, and what they would then do is within that trading application they would have some kind of an export to Excel functionality, and they will copy all that data there and do the analysis there, then come back to the trading application and take some action. So their Excel data is always like a snapshot of the real-time data, which is the market data, stock exchange data. So let's actually, instead of me talking about it, let's quickly look at an example of a typical capital markets application. I've created a demo app, which is a simplified version of a real order management system. For example, an order management system is something that a stockbroker or a stock trader uses to get orders from the client and then place those orders within the market, and to continuously look at the stock prices within the market and look at analysis of how much stocks have traded, what are the prices, and what are the trends, and so on. So this is a Silverlight application that is coming up. Is it on? Okay. So we have a grid here, and in the grid you see the various orders. There are different kinds of data that the user is looking at in terms of stock prices. This is being fed from a real price ticker, a real market, from real market data where stock prices are being refreshed in real time. Of course, I mean, I'm not using today's prices. I just have a feed that I batched and I put it at the back end. But the idea is that this is real-time data, and this grid is being updated at real time. The user can also look at charts. There are different kinds of charts here. There's a candles chart. There's a price to time kind of a chart. Time series chart, so to say. So they want to look at all of this data in different ways. Now let us look at I'm sorry. So that is what the screen of a typical capital markets app will look like as of today. Now if we were to give this user who's looking at all this data the ability to do ad hoc computations, whatever they want to do. For example, in the grid, if they want to add a new column, okay, so they add a new column here which says order executed quantity, and it is being computed using a formula. Now what you would see here is that we give the user the ability to create this new field within the grid, which is order quantity. So what we're doing here is we're basically computing how much, what is the value of my executions that I have traded so far. So I do order.executed quantity, which is the quantity that has already been traded, with the last price of that symbol. And the interesting parts to note here were that we gave him like an IntelliSense kind of feature where the user types in order and says start, and they get a drop down from which they're able to select like the existing attributes of the order class that we had in the background. Okay, so we have the data here. Okay, so we see that new column got added here, and we have data being updated on the fly again. So this was a purely ad hoc computation. The user created a brand new field on the order object, the order class that we had in our C# code. He created a new variable within that order object and provided the formula to compute the value for that variable, and is able to see that in the grid. Again, now let's add another column here, and this time what we do is use the new column that we had created in the previous step and use that to perform further calculations. Something like order total quantity. I mean, the exact formula here is not important. What I'm trying to show here is that the user just created an ad hoc field on the order class, and that ad hoc field is now available in this IntelliSense because it really got added within the code as a member variable of the, so again, the dynamic type. X.firstName did not exist. Here, order dot something did not exist. We created it on the fly, and we are able to use it in the code to allow the user to do ad hoc computations. This is almost like a macro language for the user to be able to do this. Similar to this, let's see if the user wanted to look at a chart. For example, moving averages are something that traders are very interested in. They look at moving averages of different times, and take critical decisions based on those moving averages. Every time, for example, a 5-minute and 10-minute moving average line will intersect, that that intersection point denotes a trade point for them, that the moving average is overlapping this point. They either buy or sell based on how they intersected and so on. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that the user wants to look at a graph of moving averages, for example, and he wants to look at there's a stock graph which the application gives out of the box to the user, and then the user decides that I want to look at the moving average for 5 minutes, not the one that is being given. So he adds a new chart, time series chart within the existing graph. Now the important, again, one thing that I need you to look at here is the calculate moving averages function. So this function is like a domain specific language, library for you. So you could have within your organization, based on your domain, a whole library of such functions that users can then use at runtime to do ad hoc computation. So the function itself does not hard code how much time I need to calculate the moving average for. There are various other ways of doing it. You would have provided a field here, but what I'm trying to say is that this is a lot more powerful in the sense that this combines a domain-specific language along with a macro language, a scripting language that we've given to the user. The user can do whatever they want to do and create new formulas at runtime and use them here. They are able to basically plot two moving averages and look at them. Are both of them visible? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can, is done. So we have like two moving averages that the user created at runtime. So that's the power that I'm able to provide to the user over and above a rich UI based application. So this is like a typical Silverlight application I could have created in WPF as well. It's a line of business application that you would create all the time, but the additional power of a macro language that I was able to add and provide to the user is something that the DLR allows me to do very easily. The next thing we'll look at is really how were we able to do this in this application. Sorry about that. Okay. So coming back to my presentation. There seems to be some kind of problem here. My machine is on. I'm trying to kill the browser, just like our demos. Something seems to be going wrong here. I am hoping that by closing the browser, I will not be kicked out of my webinar session. Don't do that. Okay. So the machine seems to have become responsive again finally. So we will get this. Now we are looking at how does this really work. So as I said, we were able to use Python to provide this